piece of shit, this bastard, took the lives of 17 people. You're done. I never want to hear your name. I never want to see your face ever again. 17 medical examiners testified about what your bullets did to our children's bodies. And you sat there with the same freaking expression you have now. None. Cold, no emotion, no remorse. What type of animal are you?
Saying pull the trigger that killed your son, now it masturbates to memory of you.
This is 17-year-old TJ Lane, a school shooter who wreaked havoc on Chardon High School in Ohio on February 27th, 2012.
At Chardon High School, we had shots fired, gunshots, multiple gunshots.
911. Chardon High School, we need police up here. There's someone in the building with a gun.
According to police accounts, Lane entered the school, targeted the cafeteria, and opened fire that tragically claimed the lives of 3 students and inflicted severe injuries on 3 others.
We have an active shooter at the high school.
I saw a kid holding a gun, pointing it towards a group of kids, and getting ready to press the trigger. I looked up, and he shot 2 more, and it hit a group. It hit a kid, and he fell, and another kid was hiding under the table for cover. It was just so scary.
Lane was later arrested and charged with 3 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of attempted aggravated murder, and 1 count of felonious assault. Lane's crimes were bad enough, but in court, things got even worse. From the start, it was clear Lane was anything but remorseful. Lane appeared in court with a white t-shirt with the word killer written across it. According to reports, Lane wore this shirt because it was similar to the one he wore on the day of the shooting. His lack of remorse only worsened from here.
Saying pull the trigger that killed your son, now it masturbates to memory of you.
This callous statement triggered outrage and revulsion, not only among the families of the victims, but throughout the entire country. Now, the victims' parents got a chance to speak to Lane.
I hate you for the pain you have caused, Nick. You chased him down the hall and fired the last bullet that paralyzed him. You're lucky I have to read this because I'd be staring at you the whole time. Why? Why did you do it? Why?
As the victim impact statements were read, Lane would be seen laughing as they explained the damage his actions caused them.
You're really lucky there's so many police in this room right now. You could smile all you want. Why would you want to hurt him? You don't know kind. I will have to eventually forgive you. Otherwise, you will haunt me. You will never, ever be in my thoughts after this.
I hope you have a cold, rough, unkind, harsh prison life with monsters like yourself. I want you to endure years and years of pain and abuse, which is, in my opinion, not harsh enough. If I had my choice, you would die an extremely slow, torturous death. You don't deserve to take another breath while my 16-year-old son Danny lies in the cold ground because of your disgusting, selfish, and cowardly actions.
Now, Lane would face the judge.
First, the defendant's conduct was without any provocation. Second, it was extreme. He was relentless in his shooting. He repeatedly fired his gun at these victims in sequence, moving in the position to better the aim. He inflicted extreme injury, and he kept shooting.
He received 3 life sentences without the possibility of parole. But if you think Lane's story ends here, you're wrong. Because now, we fast forward 2 years to 2014.
Breaking news, TJ Lane, the Chardon High School shooter, on the loose right now. He escaped this evening from a prison in western Ohio.
In 2014, Lane and 2 other inmates escaped from the Allen Correctional Institution, Ohio, where he was serving his sentences. According to reports, Lane and the other inmates built an 11-foot ladder, which allowed them to climb over the prison's fence. If you watch closely, we can see Lane and the other inmates making a run for it. One of the inmates got caught only minutes after the escape, but Lane, an already convicted killer, and another inmate were still on the loose, sparking a statewide manhunt.
He did scale our perimeter fence, and again, this is an ongoing investigation.
Just spoke with one of the corrections officers. He advised that the 2 that we're trying to track down are both doing life. They've got nothing to lose here, so be alert.
Fortunately, Lane and the other escapee were captured by the next day.
I believe it's the young one, TJ Lane. He's in custody.
Upon his capture, Lane would be transferred to a maximum security prison in Lucasville, where he's now serving his 3 consecutive life sentences. While TJ Lane's case is repulsive, it's decades, almost comparable to the monster that is Nikolas Cruz.
My name is Nick, and I'm going to be the next school shooter of 2018. My goal is at least 20 people with an AR-15 and a couple tracer rounds. I think I can get done. It's going to be a big event. And when you see me on the news, you'll all know who I am.
On February 14th, 2018, Nikolas Cruz, a 19-year-old former student of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, unleashed a horrifying attack, which resulted in the death of 17 people and 17 others to be injured.
Oh my God! Oh my God! I think we got shots fired. Hostile shots fired. 1200 building.
According to reports, Cruz arrived at the school at 2:19 p.m., just 20 minutes before school was wrapping up. Then, he started firing. Cruz immediately fled the scene on foot and ran to a local subway, where he could be seen begging a traumatized student for a ride home. Cruz's rampage became the deadliest high school shooting in the history of the United States. Eventually, he was arrested in a park near the school.
What's going on? What's going on today, bro?
The demons, man.
Demons?
The voices.
Now we go to Cruz's trial. The main defense Cruz's legal team argued was that Cruz was a victim of mental health issues and developmental issues because his birth mother used alcohol and drugs during her pregnancy.
At some point, we have to realize that there are women who will continue to abuse alcohol, do drugs, live a risky lifestyle while they are pregnant, do not get proper prenatal care, and that they damage their babies that are growing in their belly. And they damage the brain of the baby that is growing in their belly. There will be more Nikolas Cruzes because there will be more women that drink alcohol when they're pregnant, that poison their baby.
Cruz's same defense would later be videotaped displaying disgusting acts as the proceedings continued.
When these people are upset about specific things that have gone on from that table, like shooting the middle finger up at this court and laughing and joking, Miss McNeil, be quiet. When these people have sat in this courtroom and watched this behavior from that table and they want to say that they're not happy about it, what is the problem?
Before his sentencing, family members got the chance to speak directly to Cruz.
And I watched you kill my daughter on video. I saw you enjoying it. You shot her with a single shot.
I am wearing Joaquin's t-shirt that he wore the night before you killed him.
You shot my kid 4 times. You his marvelous brain and ideas and dreams. You destroyed them. Shot him 4 times. You needed an AR-15 to do that, because otherwise Joaquin would have beaten the shit out of you.
Then, a student who survived Cruz's attack took the stand. Now, after a 4-month trial, Judge Elizabeth Shearer will deliver the sentence.
The court imposes a sentence of life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Cruz remained emotionless as he received 34 consecutive life sentences, 1 life sentence for each victim murdered or wounded at the hands of Cruz. His cold demeanor in court was disturbing, but Cruz wasn't begging for mercy for what he did, unlike 19-year-old Timothy Simpkins.
I understand what I did was wrong, very, very wrong, and I'm sorry. I truly am sorry.
A former student of Timberview High School who's facing charges for attempted murder.
There is not one excuse for what he did. He didn't need for anything.
On October 6th, 2021, after a violent classroom brawl, Timothy drew a gun from his waistband and opened fire, hitting Zacchaeus Selby and wounding 3 others. In court, Timothy's legal team would claim that Simpkins was bullied and attacked by other students, and that he acted in self-defense.
2 boys was picking on him, and so me as a mother, what they was gonna do to him.
Mr. Simpkins was brutally attacked. He was sitting in a classroom doing his schoolwork. That is not high-risk activity.
To make matters worse, Simpkins' family members wore shirts saying "Stop the bullying" in court to try and further this argument.
It's making him look like a monster. We've seen the video ourselves. We were shocked. He's a regular teenager. He's 15.
The prosecuting team argued that Simpkins was anything but remorseful, and the drug offenses he violated while awaiting trial only supported their arguments.
He is a dealer. Everything about him tells you that's true.
Did you see a tear at any time in the courtroom when the video was being played at what did that? Did you see a possible tear when you looked at any of these victims and their families and said, I'm sorry?
Simpkins would then be heard apologizing for what he had done.
I understand what I did was wrong. Very, very wrong. And I'm sorry. I'm truly sorry.
Then, the teacher he shot got his chance to take the stand.
And let you know that I sincerely appreciate your apology, and I completely recognize how difficult it must be to admit that. It takes a great amount of courage, but I'm not ready to accept your apology yet. I hear you, and I appreciate it, but I'm not ready to accept it yet. However, for the pain and suffering you have inflicted upon the people I love, I'm not sure if I can forgive you.
The jury deliberated for about 5 hours before reaching a verdict.
Right, members of the jury, I have received and accepted your verdict, and I do find that it is unanimous verdict of the individual jurors. Having found the defendant guilty of the offense of attempt to commit the offense of capital murder.
Tompkins was sentenced to 12 years in prison, as well as a fine of $6,000. Though Timothy only received 12 years in prison, most school shooters aren't as lucky with their sentence. Like in the case of Dimitrios Pagortsis.
Shots fired. More shots fired, additional shots fired. They're having a shooting at the high school, have an officer down, shooter not in custody. He's actually shooting. He's in the art room. We got shots fired right now, guys.
A 17-year-old who carried out a horrific school shooting at Santa Fe High School in Texas on May 18, 2018. The shooting took the lives of 10 people and injured 13 others.
Playing music, making jokes while he's doing it. Had like slogans, like rhymes, stuff he kept saying.
What was he saying?
Like every time he'd kill someone, he'd say another one bites the dust.
Dimitrios used a shotgun and a revolver, which he got from his father's closet, to unleash his violence upon an art class at 7:32 a.m.
He first opened fire with a shotgun in which he shot one of my other friends in the head, and her body fell down not too far away from where I was under the table. That is when he turned like this and opened fire with the revolver.
Eventually, he surrendered to the police after concealing himself in a closet for roughly 30 minutes.
Somebody is detained and in custody.
Dimitrios Pagortsis revealed to the police that he had intended to end his own life after the shooting, but lacked the courage to do so. He also claimed that he spared the students he favored, intending for them to recount his tale.
I was very, very scared. I had to have someone keep me calm.
Trench coat on, pistol in his hand, a shotgun across his chest.
He gave himself up and admitted at the time that he didn't have the courage to commit the suicide, that he wanted to take his own life earlier.
Dimitrios claims to have been a victim of bullying by some students and coaches at the school, a claim that the school contested, but Dimitrios' own father would agree with.
He said, quote, "My son to me is not a criminal. He's a victim. The kid didn't own guns. I owned guns. He pulled the trigger, but he is not this person. It is like we see in the movies when someone gets into his body and does things that are not done. It's not possible in one day for the child to have changed so much." Dimitrios was charged with capital murder and aggravated assault against a public servant. He was held without bond at the Galveston County Jail.
And you have been charged with aggravated assault against a public servant. I'm denying your bond on both charges.
It's been 5 years since the shooting, and Dimitrios Pagortsis has yet to begin trial. If convicted, he could be sentenced to a maximum of life imprisonment, with the possibility of parole after 40 years. Dimitrios has yet to apologize for his actions or take responsibility in any way. 10 lives were lost at the hands of Dimitrios Pagortsis, the same number of lives lost in the case of Peyton Gendron.
When I first saw him shooting, he shot a woman, he shot a deacon, he shot another woman, and then he went in the store and started shooting again.
Except in this case, the courtroom went exactly how you would expect.
We love our kids. We never go in no neighborhoods and take people out.
On May 14th, 2022, 18-year-old Peyton S. Gendron carried out a horrific mass shooting that claimed the lives of 10 people in Buffalo, New York. Tragically, all 10 of the victims were black. To make matters worse, Gendron live-streamed part of the attack for viewers to watch at home. Gendron was apprehended at the scene. After his arrest, police searched Gendron's home, only to find a 180-page manifesto that showed a map of the store, racist remarks, and outlined a plan of how he was going to execute his attack. Now we go to court, where Peyton is facing 10 counts of committing a hate crime resulting in death, 3 counts of committing a hate crime involving an attempt to kill, 10 counts of using a firearm to commit murder during and in relation to a crime of violence, and 3 counts of using and discharging a firearm during and in relation to a crime of violence. During the trial, he remained emotionless as his victims would explain the impact this event had on them.
To me, killing you is the easy way out. One day, I hope you find it in your heart to apologize to those 10 families who you've shattered their lives.
Every day of your life, think about my family and the other 9 families that you've destroyed forever. We love our kids. We never go in no neighborhoods and take.
But for some, words aren't enough. A father lunges at Peyton, forcing him to be escorted out and the courtroom to erupt. Gendron pleaded not guilty on May 19, 2022. However, on November 28, 2022, he changed his plea and pleaded guilty to all state charges, including murder, domestic terrorism, and hate crimes. Now, he faces a judge to learn his sentence.
There is no place for you or your ignorant, hateful, and evil ideologies in a civilized society. There can be no mercy for you, no understanding, no second chances. You will never see the light of day as a free man ever again. It is the judgment of this court for your conviction under the first count of the indictment, a domestic act of terrorism motivated by hate in the first degree, an A1 felony, that you be sentenced to life imprisonment without parole.
Gendron received a sentence of 11 consecutive life terms, without the possibility of parole. Just when you thought 11 life terms were bad enough, we meet a 15-year-old who took it one step further.
Everybody gets picked on, everyone gets bullied. This kid just wanted attention, I feel.
On March 5th, 2001, tragedy struck Santana High School in Santee, California, when 15-year-old Andy Williams opened fire on his school, taking the lives of 2 and wounding 13.
In my 15-year-old head, these are small rounds. I understand I'm going to be shooting at people, and I understand the potential for harm is there. But for whatever reason, I separated actual harm from potential harm, and I thought that as long as I'm considered enough of a threat to have all these cops show up in a big huge force, then they'll kill me and all my problems will be solved.
Reports suggest that Williams had endured bullying and harassment from fellow students at Santana High School. He had attempted to seek help from a school counselor a few weeks before the shooting, but was turned away because the office was busy.
A lot of the bullying stuff, I was too ashamed to admit. All the sexual abuse, I didn't tell anybody about. I was too ashamed to admit I was victimized.
Williams commenced his terror from the boys' bathroom, where he fatally shot Brian Zucker, a 14-year-old freshman. Exiting the restroom, he indiscriminately fired at other students and staff, injuring 13 individuals, where he also took the life of Randy Gordon, a 17-year-old senior. Williams was eventually confronted by a group of police officers who arrived on the scene promptly, within minutes of the initial gunfire. Williams dropped his weapon and surrendered. In court, Williams was facing 2 counts of first-degree murder and 13 counts of attempted murder. His family revealed how much his actions affected everyone.
He was a real kind kid. I do not condone what he did. I do not condone the way he went about trying to resolve his issues whatsoever. He made a very bad choice.
Eventually, Williams received 50 years to life in prison, with the possibility of parole after 5 decades. He showed no emotion or remorse at the time. However, the same cannot be said for the mass shooter, Anderson Lee Aldrich.
You don't leave the damn fight, you dumb fat ass. Shut up!
You shut up.
What are you gonna do? Shut up!
Keep following me and I'm you up.
Who's facing charges for 5 murders in Colorado.
Police say at least 5 people are dead after a shooting at a Colorado Springs nightclub.
The shooting happened just before midnight at Club Q. That's an LGBTQ nightclub.
In November 2022, Anderson killed 5 people and injured 19 others with an AR-15 style rifle at Club Q nightclub. This wasn't the first time Anderson dealt with police. According to reports, in June 2021, Anderson allegedly began loading bullets into the magazine of a Glock handgun and aiming it at his grandparents. When things settled down, he then grabbed a mysterious box from his room and claimed it was a homemade bomb, leading to a SWAT team arriving at his house. Now we go to court. Aldrich arrived disheveled and beaten. According to reports, After the shooting, 2 people in the club tackled and restrained him until police arrived. Aldrich pleaded guilty and was given the opportunity to speak, but denied it. Following this, the judge pronounced his sentence.
You would receive 5 consecutive life sentences to the Colorado Department of Corrections without the possibility of parole. This paperwork also reflects that you would be receiving 46 consecutive 48-year sentences for the attempted murder counts, followed by mandatory periods of parole.
Aldrich was sentenced to life imprisonment and refused to apologize to the victims or take responsibility for what happened. However, it's not the first time a mass shooter showed no remorse for his actions, just like what happened in the notorious case of James Holmes.
911, where's your emergency? Sir, I can't hear you. Give me the address again. What address?
A graduate of neuroscience and a former PhD student who's facing charges for 24 counts of first-degree murder and 116 counts of attempted murder. On July 20th, 2012, James Holmes walked into a movie theater in Aurora, Colorado, where a screening of The Dark Knight Rises was playing. According to reports, by this point, Holmes had already swallowed a handful of pain pills, anticipating the result of what he was about to do. The movie would air for about 30 minutes before Holmes would make his way to his car to retrieve gas canisters, a shotgun, and a rifle. When he returned, horror struck.
911, where's your emergency? Sir, I can't hear you. Give me the address again. What address?
He fatally shot 12 people and injured 70 others. After he was arrested, police went to his home to search for further evidence, but what they found was even more shocking than expected. Holmes anticipated that the police would be going back to his house, so he booby-trapped it with dozens of explosives and incendiaries. Holmes's case only gets crazier in court when he arrives with freshly dyed orange hair. According to reports, he dyed his hair like this to resemble the Joker. Holmes's defense team entered a plea deal of not guilty by reason of insanity. They supported this defense by showing footage of James running into walls and appearing manic while he was being held in a cell. But the judge presiding over the case didn't agree.
I am 100% sure that these are just and fair. I want to make it clear that it is the court's intention that the defendant never set foot in free society again.
Holmes was found guilty of all charges and sentenced to 12 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole, plus 3,318 years. However emotionless James Holmes' reaction to his sentence was, how does it compare to the cold reaction of 18-year-old Devin Erickson, who's facing 2 counts of first-degree murder and 44 additional charges, including attempted murder and conspiracy to commit murder? On May 7, 2019, Devin Erickson and accomplice Alec McKinney walked into Colorado High School with the worst intentions imaginable.
Is the shooter down or is the shooter still shooting? What? Yes, into the shot, yes. Okay, do we know how many? At least 3 people I know have been injured. Okay. Do we have a description on him? Erickson? Devin Erickson? Devin Erickson, okay.
According to reports, Erickson and McKinney targeted a classroom of students sitting in the dark as they watched a movie at the end of their senior year. The two entered through separate doors to maximize the number of students they could kill. They took the life of Kendrick Castillo and injured 8 others before their guns started to jam. Then students began bravely rushing the shooters to defend their classmates. Police body cam captures the moment the police arrested McKinney and Erickson.
How many shooters do you have?
2. There's two, yeah. Why? He was making me give him a bunch of stuff and then there's me. I was just supposed to watch it. Because there was only one who was going to let me live.
Now we go to court, where Erickson's grandfather began by addressing the court.
I'm Devin's grandpa. I'm also his best friend, or I consider Devin my best friend. I was asked once, after I bragged about Devin, said, it seems you love Devin quite a lot. My answer was, I not only love him, it's unconditional love. I will never stop loving him. He made a big mistake, yes, but he's a great guy.
Prosecutors contended that Erickson was not as kind as his grandfather was leading the jury to believe.
The one who secured the weapons and loaded the weapons. The one who snuck them into the school. The one who blasted a hole in Kendrick Castillo and shot 2 other students. That person is in the courtroom with us right now.
Erickson remained mostly silent throughout much of the trial. Given the chance to speak, he chose not to provide an explanation or justification for his actions. Instead, he was seen hiding his face and avoiding eye contact with the family members in attendance. Instead, his defense painted him as a vulnerable child who was roped into Alec McKinney's plan.
He's not a monster, he's not a demon, and he's not evil. He's a confused adolescent kid.
Here is the moment where Erickson would learn his sentence.
I consider the things that you did to be so heinous, so violent, and so far-reaching that warrants the following sentence. Counts 1 and 2, which are murder in the first degree. 1 is with deliberation, 2 is extreme indifference. Life without parole, those will run concurrent to each other. That's for the death of Kendrick Castillo.
Ultimately, Erickson was found guilty of first-degree murder and 45 additional crimes related to the attack. Judge Teresa Michelle Slade handed down a life sentence without the possibility of release for Erickson, plus 1,200 years. While McKinney received a life sentence, given his status as a minor, he may become eligible for parole in 20 years. Erickson displayed little emotion upon hearing his sentence. Devin and Alec got what they deserved. But what about a school shooter who gets what he wants?
I want to be put away, or I can't hurt anybody.
This is Sky Boucher. On April 20th, 2018, in Ocala, Florida, a 19-year-old Sky Boucher carried out a school shooting at Forest High School. Around 8:25 a.m., Sky can be seen rushing into the school while holding what appears to be a guitar case. According to reports, Sky then ran into the hall's restroom. Inside the case were a 1930 sawed-off shotgun, gloves, and a tactical vest. Then, a 17-year-old junior named Evan walked into a stall in the same restroom Sky was in. Sky then shot the bottom of the stall door that Evan was in, leaving him injured and screaming in pain. A code red lockdown was ordered.
Hey, lock this school down.
Only minutes after the shooting, police would find Sky in a classroom where he surrendered.
Down on the ground. What the h***? Put your hands behind your back.
I said the gun's in front of the restroom.
Okay.
I'm sorry, sir.
What do you
I wasn't raised by the right people.
Are you kidding me? How did you get up here with a shotgun? You just carried it up here?
Yes, sir.
Are you kidding me? Holy cow.
Sky admitted to a life marked by neglect, violence, and mental health struggles since childhood, emphasizing that he was not having a good day. His intentions were to isolate himself to avoid harming others.
I didn't even think the gun would work. That's why I pointed out the door. So I just shot.
Are you at least thankful, though, that no one...
Yeah, I'm very thankful. Because I didn't even know I hit someone until the news reporter said, did you know that kid? Or I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about.
Sky Boucher then went on to say he's hoping for life behind bars so that he can repeat what he did.
I want to be put away, or I can't hurt anybody.
In court, Sky faced charges of terrorism, aggravated assault with a firearm, carrying a concealed firearm, and armed trespass on school property. Consequently, he received a 30-year prison sentence with a requirement to serve 25 years before parole consideration. Additionally, he was handed an extra 30 years of probation and ordered to pay restitution.